Okay, here's a simple concept of recycling milk jugs and stuff. The milk jugs or any kind of container can be used for a collection of water, vapor from the air, basically water from the air, in the morning dew. Uh, its concept's pretty simple. It doesn't take a lot of science. It's not for a lot of large amount of water collection. It's just for a couple drops collection system from morning dew, just to water desert plants and stuff like that. That's if you have a desert farming, because there's a lot of produce. There are actually desert plants that you could use for edible stuff, like cactus and stuff, and other plants you could do for drought resistant plants that don't require a lot of water. Anyway, here we have an empty jug. Uh, Normally you have a drawing here. You cut the top somewhere on top right here, and then the top section inverted, like I have it over here. That inversion is where the water is going to collect on the inside. The morning dew is going to collect in there at nighttime, and then you have water right here, and then on the outside of this container, where just above the water table, you can paint that flat black, so the sunlight during daytime will heat the water inside. Will heat the water to a certain degree, and the water retains the heat. You could add pebbles too on the bottom. Also, pebbles, basically rocks, absorbs heat for the during the daytime. So when the night comes in, because uh, the heat's inside the water and the rocks, and then they all slowly give it out on nighttime. So when the sun goes down, the vapor slowly goes up to this side, right here, the inverted cap of the milk jug, and then on nighttime, the the morning dew starts collecting on the inside, and it starts dripping inside, and then you got more water than you had before. It's not a lot of water, just a couple drops more, but that's enough to fill the jug to start dripping into a plant, a desert plant. So just a few drops a night to keep it surviving. Um, it's not a it's not like for a large amount of water, but it's sufficient for maybe a desert plant. Just a couple of drops a night, it should keep it going. Uh, this is we're talking about survival. One of the plants I wish I could in a desert environment is a cactus. Cactus are some types of cactus are actually highly edible, and they're easy to grow with a very little water. And just peel off a piece of cactus and let it uh, sit in a desert for 2 days, and then you plant that in the ground, and just with water it starts blooming, and then you have in about a month or two you have a new new cactus growing on the sides, and you can use that to eat. So what I'm trying to say is cactus is very simple food source for survival uh, in a desert. And if you have a milk jug and you paint the outside flat black to absorb the heat, the water inside will get heated. You could add pebbles too to absorb the heat, and at nighttime um, will deliver the heat slowly back into the environment inside. Um, and then as it goes inside right here, uh, the morning dew is going to start collecting uh, right here, and drips back into it. Um, the only problem I have is basically also the heat coming out from the side, and then you have start dripping water on the milk jug itself on the outside. So what you could do, you could put a plate on the bottom, so also the vapor or the water dripping on the milk jug will fall into the plate, and you could have a little hole that falls into the plant, or a little also another straw uh, on the bottom plate. I don't have a pen right now, but you can have a bottom plate that collects the water from dripping from the outside too, and you can have a straw going to the plant. So you can have a water when the water table rises and it'll drip into the plant, and also have a plate that collects the water from the outside. So you have a two-system collection. But the what makes it work is the heated water and the heated rocks slowly start giving the heat at night, and that what creates condensation on the outside and inside of the cone to desert farm for survival. So this is a massive, massive concept of survival for villages and stuff. Like I said, it's not a lot of condensation, but it's enough to keep a plant, especially a cactus plant. It's easy to farm in large scale with a whole bunch of milk jugs, um, and so on. Not only that, at nighttime, or during daytime, if it starts raining, you also have a collection system. So that's also good. Um, but like I said, this is survival mode. The only problem is when you have a cactus, make sure you have a mesh protecting on the ground. In other words, you dig a hole, and you put a mesh on the bottom, and then you put your cactus, because then you have desert animals that they'll start eating the plant itself, the desert plant, the cactus, because they're always looking for moisture, and cactus it also has moisture, and in survival mode for moisture and food source. So you dig a hole in the ground, and then you put a mesh of some sort on the bottom, more like a basket type on the bottom. And then you put dirt, and then put the cactus and bury the cactus after one quarter, and then the 3/4 sticking out of the cactus out into the air. And then you put a little mesh around the cactus. So you basically protecting it from the bottom and outside from critters like squirrels, not squirrels, moles and stuff, and other kinds of critters that like to dig on the ground, and rabbits. Rabbits like eating cactus too, or other kinds of critters. So you protect it all the way around, and you have a milk jug, empty milk jug, and you turn it into a condensation object, machine, or whatever you want to call it, concept that collects the dew from the air. So it's basically you're getting water from the air in the form of condensation, morning dew, in this process. So this is a survival concept. If there's no food around, and you have a lack of food, this is another option. If for some reason the water gets too hot, it starts evaporating. Well, you could use one to experiment. You could spray paint it, maybe a lighter shade to absorb it has to be flat. Maybe a lighter, darker color. It has to be flat. Or also, you can take away the pebbles if you don't need them. But you can experiment. The concept's very solid. There's other products they use, and concept's pretty similar. You could also use a piece of foam or something with holes on it, or a plastic inside that divides the water from the cone. So that's optional. So you could experiment with the divider, right? One. You could experiment with the flat paint on the outside, and you could also experiment with pebbles on the inside. Also, like I said, you need a plate on the outside, because the dew's going to collect on a side, or morning dew's going to collect on the side of the milk jug, and you can use that water to irrigate the desert plants for survival, in a large scale, with simple milk jugs. So you can experiment with all these concepts for folks always looking at these survival stuff. This is another option. It's a survival farming where you don't have any water to irrigate, and it's enough to irrigate desert plants for food and moisture and nutrients and all that kind of stuff. So my favorite food for survival in a desert is cactus, because not only does it give you cactus, when the plant's mature, it also gives you fruit from a cactus, and they're very sweet, sweeter than strawberries. Let's put it that way. So a cactus does produce fruit too, as well as the cactus itself, which in both cases it's actually nutritious for survival. There you go, folks. A new concept, very cool.